Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about how shorts are in huge danger, 6 figures per shares, the 85% dark pool, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. Let them short. GME and AMC are never going bankrupt. Shorts are in colossal, gigantic financial danger. Which short fund will close short first and maybe be the only short fund not to get liquidated and go bankrupt? We will see. Never selling AMC, only buying more. So what we're taking a look at is, of course, the situation that shorts have put themselves in. Now, when we take a look at this particular picture, this is something we've shown in the past before. It's showing the amount of AMC shares that are unsettled in the DTCC. And you can look here, 555 million shares, the notional of shares unsettled at $9.6 billion. So when we take a look here, the average combined price is at $8.72, and these are shares held as far back as 2018. So this is what we talked about, and now these are only the shares that we can see. Firstly, these are already and still unsettled, and so when we take a look at how big of a danger they are in, this is already a showcase of it. When you take a look at the market value of AMC and then the notional value of all shares unsettled, you can already see the clear difference. And then is what we're talking about with share price at $8.72. Remember, these are only for these particular sets of shares. There are still multiple short selling at different prices, and this is a bit not updated to where we are right now, but the fact is at $8.72, and is why we talk about the suppression that happens for AMC, why they are afraid to let AMC even go up to that $10 area, because the moment they go past $8.72, all of these unsettled shares will be put into the red. They will put into massive losses, and you can understand why shorts right now can't face the liquidity pressure that they will obviously put themselves into. And then we talked about how AMC, of course, never going bankrupt, and it's why we said that this is obviously the long-term game, because the only way for shorts to get out of all of these unsettled shares, all of the FTDs, all of the total return swaps, all of the tokenizations, is not by buying them back. Is for AMC to go bankrupt or for the apes to sell all their shares. But we know that that is obviously not going to happen. And so that's why they're trying to suppress the price as much as possible. And you can see the ascent of AMC will surprisingly be a painful exercise. Why? Because it's all fake. The hedge funds and manipulators are going to try and fake squeeze us all along the way. Say no to their tricks and lies. They need our shares. 6 figures per shares is my absolute minimum. Now, I've always said everyone has different exit prices, so make sure you have your own understanding first of where you want to exit. However, the fundamentals, the basics behind everything, the context still stays the same. We talked about how, because of the fact there are so many shares already, and this is an unupdated shares unsettled in the DTCC, it shows us just truly how trapped the shorts have put themselves into. And bear in mind, just because they are going to cover 9.6 billion shares of AMC, it doesn't mean that AMC will only go to $9.6 billion. You have to understand that these shares get more expensive as the price goes up. And so obviously when we see them cover even potentially just the first half or even the 10th of these amount of shares, the price will already have 5x, 10x from that, right? And that gets even bigger. And so this is what we have to understand, is why we talked about the share price, the exit price is so much higher than where we all think. But then it's also important to understand about the fake squeeze. Just like we talked about how by even covering a 10th, a 5th of the shares that are unsettled, how big of a price input it will put to AMC, they obviously want to make sure they can buy it back as cheaply as possible. And anyone put themselves in their shoes, you're obviously more willing to buy AMC back at $100 per shares than at $1,000 per shares if you're the short sellers. And that's what they do by putting a fake squeeze price to us, because they want to obviously get everything back as cheaply as possible. And now, obviously, that's a story for a later time when we do see the squeeze happening. But a big thing that we talked about is about how they're obviously shorting, how they're trying to prevent $8.72, and you can see it happening right now. You can see, why didn't AMC move accordingly to the volume within 3 minutes? Does most of AMC's order go to the dark pool? And what we can see here is that the 17.41 million share volume spike for AMC occurred after regular market hours on July 15th, when liquidity is low. price things moved due to balanced buy-sell orders and significant off-exchange trading, including dark pools. So I want to go more into this. Now, we've always known one of the ways for them to obviously suppress the price of AMC has been dark pool. We've seen them manipulate and pushing down the price by spoofing, and we see them try to suppress it and not allow the price to go up by using dark pool. This is something we talked about for a very long time. But if you want to see it used in example, you can see here, while AMC recorded 85% of its volume off exchange today. And now you can see I've never seen any stock that high before. This has to be a glitch, right? So this is not after hours. So over here we see Grok saying that the after hour volume. But even when we don't look at the after hours volume, even when we just take a look at what happened during the trading hours for AMC today, we're looking at 85.95%. The NYSE only had 4.33%. And you can even see the shares that are in there. 25.95 million shares were off exchange. Now, using data we've seen in the past before, and we've shown this on video, was that the most of the volume that are in the dark pool are actually all buy orders, and a large amount of them are made up of buy orders. And the volumes that we see in the lit exchange, so the volume that actually affects the price, large blocks of them are actually sell orders, the short sales that are pushing down the price. And so from there, you can already understand the manipulation that goes on. The volume that's supposed to be helping AMC, that's supposed to be allowing AMC price to go up because of all the buy orders, are routed into the dark pool where it has no effect on AMC. The actions that has effect on AMC by pushing the price down, by making the price go lower, the sell orders are all hitting the lit exchange. So clearly that isn't fair. And that's what we talked about with how they're manipulating the price. Now we understand why they're obviously doing this. Again, going back to this with how 872 is a very sore area for these shorts. And remember is that this is obviously going to get a lot bigger. This is only showing for when this particular picture was made, for when this data was made. The shares that are unsettled now are even bigger than this. And so you can imagine that potentially what we're seeing is that the short selling amount, the average price, has actually gone a lot lower. And now they're even, so before they were afraid of letting the price go to 872, but now they're even afraid of letting AMC go to $6. We know AMC is worth $6. We know AMC is worth $8. We know AMC is worth a heck load of that. We talked about true price discovery, not including the squeeze price. And we talked about how fundamentally AMC should be way above where we are, not only because of its fundamentals, but obviously because of the market sentiment when we are allowed to see real price. And shorts know that as well, we know that, and that's why they're trying to prevent the price. Because it is much easier for them to control the price at where it is right now than to let AMC see real price discovery and for all the investors to be jumping on. We're already seeing how institutions are buying AMC, and so they're trying everything they can to prevent anyone from buying into AMC. You can also take a look at this. 15.74 million shares passed after hours as a neutral order. So this is going more to what we talked about earlier, but you can see this particular order that's going for AMC and how it has no effect on AMC whatsoever. When you take a look at the normal orders there are for AMC, you understand that when you see an order of this size, it will definitely have major impact. But the very fact it didn't have any impact should already showcase what is happening in the market. It should showcase how shorts fear AMC, why they can't even let a 10%, 50% move happen on AMC, despite the fact that it's only going to be around 500, 600 million market cap, but yet they're still afraid of what is going to happen when AMC does that. They understand that multiple short sellers will get margin called. They understand the small short sellers, the ones who don't have that big of a wallet, will run for the hills first. And if they do, that will then push the price up even more. And that's what they're trying to prevent. And that's what we are seeing right now. And then you can take a look, and we just talked about how these buy orders and these large block orders that we're seeing should already showcase to you how people are viewing AMC, how they see AMC as a great investment and the potential there is behind AMC. But when you take a look at the call and put volumes, you can see here, the call volume total is at 29.5 thousand. Yet the put volume total is at 4.3k or 4,294 to be exact. But then you can see here, when we take a look at the call to put volume ratio, we see just how bullish people think AMC are. Recently, we talked about multiple different factors showcasing the bullishness of AMC. We talked about recently Discovery Capital buying a large chunk of AMC, and we talked about how that is them realizing the opportunities. But not only that, we're seeing how some firms who were short in the past have actually offloaded their short positions and flip long. We talked about Goldman Sachs selling their puts and then buying calls, and also buying long shares of AMC, and multiple other firms doing that as well. And so all of this is showcasing but one thing, that they understand the potential of AMC, that the shorts are afraid of AMC, and everyone is trying to get in right now. But yeah, guys, that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys next time.